So today we are going to dive into a book that makes a pretty wild claim. It suggests that the hidden worlds of energy and, yes, magic aren't just for fantasy novels. It argues they're an untapped part of your human potential. We are exploring the core ideas of Maud Aren's Psychic Witch. And just to be clear, this isn't just about spells or telling fortunes. Oh no, this is a deep dive into the very mechanics of reality itself.
Let's just start with the huge question right off the bat. The world you see, the world you hear and touch, is that it? Is that all there is? Or could it be that we are surrounded by forces, by information that our five basic senses just aren't built to detect? The book we're looking at today says absolutely, reality is infinitely more complex. And the best part? We already have the tools to see it.
And there it is. That's the radical idea at the very heart of this work. It just completely throws out the notion that these abilities are some rare gift, bestowed on a chosen few. Instead, it reframes them as something completely natural, something inherent to being human, like skills that have just been forgotten or pushed aside, waiting for each and every one of us to wake them up. All right, let's get into our first big idea here. The core philosophy of the book is that these powers aren't supernatural, they are profoundly natural. It's almost like we've all been taught to ignore a massive part of what we're actually capable of. This right here, this demands a real shift in how we think about this stuff. These abilities aren't some mysterious gift you're either born with or you're not. A much better way to think of them is like psychic muscles. Sure, some people might be born with a natural talent for athletics or art, and some might have an initial sensitivity to this. But the book argues that for everyone, these are skills that can be trained, developed, and made stronger through practice and, well, exercise. So here's how the book breaks it down, and this is so important. It separates and then connects two key concepts. First, you have psychic ability. Think of this as the act of reading the energetic information that's all around us. It's about perceiving, listening, seeing what's already there. And then you have magic. This is the act of writing. It's the ability to consciously direct and shape that same energy to create a change. They are two sides of the exact same coin. You can't really shape what you can't perceive in the first place. Okay, so let's build on that. If these abilities are just sleeping inside of us, then there has to be a key, right? A specific way to unlock the door to that hidden reality. This next part of our explainer is all about the how, the actual practical method the book lays out for accessing these powers. And this is the question that takes us out of the theory and into practice. I mean, it's one thing to say you have potential, but it's another thing to ask, okay, how do I actually do it? How do I start tuning in to these other frequencies? The answer, according to our source, isn't in some ancient artifact or secret spell. It's inside our own minds. And here is the key, the alpha brainwave state. Now, this isn't some weird mystical trance. It's a state you naturally go into every single day. Think about that moment right as you're waking up, or just as you're drifting off to sleep, or when you're just staring out the window, lost in a daydream. The book points to this sweet spot of relaxed awareness as the perfect mental frequency for perceiving the world's subtle energies. Now, what's so great about this is how simple and achievable it is. The book points out that science has shown we can start generating these alpha waves just by closing our eyes and starting to imagine something. It's not about forcing your mind to be empty. That's impossible. It's about gently shifting your focus from the busy, analytical outside world to your internal, imaginative one. This is the very first practical step. Of course, anyone who's ever tried to just sit and relax knows there's a huge hurdle. It's that nonstop internal chatter, right? The endless to-do lists, the worries, the random thoughts that keep our minds buzzing. The book has a fantastic name for this. I mean, what a perfect analogy. We've all got one. That restless monkey mind is the single biggest barrier to getting into that calm, receptive alpha state. It's the part of us that just hates being still. The book argues that learning to tame this monkey is basically the most fundamental training you can do. And the solution offered is ancient, simple, and incredibly powerful. Meditation. It's not about emptying your mind. It's about training your focus. The source explains it like this. Every time your mind wanders off and you gently bring it back, you're doing a mental push-up. You're literally strengthening the muscle that allows you to direct your own consciousness. And the technique itself is beautifully simple, but look closely at step 4. The goal is not to never get distracted. That's not the win. The success is in the return. You just notice, oh, there goes the monkey mind again. You acknowledge it without getting frustrated, and you just gently guide your focus back to your breath. That simple, repetitious action is what builds the mental strength you need for all the deeper work. Okay, let's move into our final section, and honestly, this might be the most critical piece of the whole foundation. Before you go opening the door to perceive more energy, the book is crystal clear. You have to learn how to manage it. This is all about safety, stability, and making sure this is a practice you can sustain. So let's be really clear about this. Grounding is presented as a non-negotiable prerequisite. It's not optional. Think about it. An electrician would never work on a live circuit without making sure it's grounded first, right? Well, in the same way, you shouldn't open yourself up to energy flows without establishing a safe and stable connection. This analogy on the slide just makes it all click. When you start doing energy work, you can build up an excess charge, or maybe you run into energies that are a bit too intense. Without a ground wire, all that energy can overload your personal system. Grounding creates that wire. It connects you to the massive, stable energy of the Earth itself, which can safely absorb any excess, preventing you from short-circuiting.
And this is why it's so important. The book uses this incredibly vivid term for the symptoms of not being grounded: magical whiplash. And it's that feeling of being energetically thrown around. You feel foggy, you get weird body aches like the flu, you suddenly feel completely drained and emotionally unstable. It is the direct result of trying to handle more energy than your system is ready for. And it really drives home why grounding isn't just a nice idea, it's an essential safety protocol.
So here we have a really simple but powerful visualization. It's about using your focused mind to create a real energetic connection. By just imagining these roots growing from your feet down into the Earth's core, you are consciously directing your energy to link up. And that simple act creates your grounding cord, giving you an immediate feeling of stability and a release valve for any energetic pressure. And I really want to hammer this point home. This isn't just one technique out of many. The book presents grounding right alongside meditation as the absolute bedrock of this entire practice. Without a solid, stable foundation, any structure you try to build on top of it, whether it's seeing auras or shaping energy, is going to be wobbly and, frankly, unsafe. So, after all of this, after exploring these core ideas that these powers are your birthright, that the alpha state is the key, that meditation tames your mind, and that grounding keeps you safe, the book really just leaves us with this one question. It suggests that this whole path isn't about becoming someone else. It's about awakening the full potential of who you already are.